Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Etcetera with the Woodards. I'm your host for this evening, Craig Woodard Sr., and joining me is my road dog, my co-host, Deontay Cooley. Cuz, thanks for joining me, man.
Absolutely, man. I'm always glad to be here, man. And today it's gonna be a great episode. I know that for a fact. So, thank you for having me. And as usual, thank you for continuing to shed light on the situation, using the platform, etc. with the Woodards, man. And I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you continue to stick it out. So,
I
thank you for
appreciate
holding
it.
that.
Hey, man, I really appreciate the kind words. And, just like you, man, I'm in this to win this. I'm in it for the long haul. Cello was our cousin, and we're going to be doing this until we get justice, man. And tonight is going to be an action packed podcast. Get your popcorn ready. It's going to be a big night. We got a lot to talk about. We may get a little long. I know there ain't no football games on tonight. I don't think there's anything on tonight, but etc. with the Woodards, you should be turning in because it is episode 39. We've been crushing these things about twice a week. It's been the pattern. And I talked about some information about Marcello Woodard's investigation, kind of the case of what's going on in our last episode, episode 38. I want to rehash what we talked about. Just been giving a lot of thought to this and want to back into this thing. So I posted, I kind of posted a scenario in the last episode about this. We all know, publicly know, that Marcello was supposed to be off parole on July 18th of 2025. Of course, he was shot on July 2nd, just a couple weeks prior to him being released off parole. Um, what if, and I say this because I cannot put this past this guy that we're dealing with. If you have the balls to shoot somebody 3 times and kill them, you could easily lie to them. You know, what if Kevin Seelinger, his parole agent, lied to him and told him that he had a special probation extension? And sources tell, etc., that was the case. Late fall, he was told that he had a special 6-month extension. So a 6-month extension puts him off parole on July 18th of 2025. So if July 18th of 2025 is the max date, if you go back 6 months, that would take him to January 18th of 2025. So what if Kevin Seelinger lied to him about the extension and he truly was off parole? There's a lot of speculation that could happen here, but if Cello was shot and killed allegedly by Kevin Seelinger, if this were true, then Cello was off parole and would have been a normal civilian, and that means Kevin Seelinger should not be protected under the umbrella of a parole agent shooting a parolee, which means that we should not be 98 days out with no arrest. He should have been arrested that night if that were true.
Right.
And so we got to put the burden of proof on the state. Show us documents, any documents, that he was supposed to be off parole July 18th. I know we haven't seen anything, but we know that July 18th was supposed to be, air quotes, the date. So I want to present that to the public and to the DA and to put pressure on them to show us that he was supposed to be off on July 18th. I mean, it's a far-fetched scenario, DC, but it's not. And I say that because if you can shoot and kill a man, you can easily lie to a man, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. One more thing, and it's like, and that's why I love the fact that we have you involved. Well, I have you involved in everything, as far as like me, myself, and other people who are seeking justice for Cello, because like you bring those different perspectives, and people trust you as far as the sources that you have to provide you with information
Right.
that kind of gets the wheels turning and spinning a little bit to where it allows us to continue to ask questions. It allows us to continue to make noise because when you bring a scenario like that into question, and by no means am I an attorney, so this is
Mm-hmm.
not no legal talk or no legal advice, and by no means are you an attorney for you to be sharing legal talk or legal advice. But now we just having conversations as concerned people.
Right.
You know what I mean? To kind of discuss some of the information that's being brought to us because we all know like how rumors can do and how the telephone game goes. When you start getting information like that and it starts to kind of seem like, okay, well, if that's the case, then shouldn't there be some documentation somewhere stating, all right, what did when he went, what was his min day, what was his max day? You know what I mean? As
Right.
far as that, so then you start to get to look at the information from, all right, when did he go to jail? When was he released from jail? You know what I mean? Then you get to start asking questions like, okay, well then what was his record in jail? Because I remember working in a prison.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in a prison for 7.5 years. So when there's
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's in prison, you got to keep notes. The counselors, the correction counselor, they keep
Yes.
notes, and it's in a certain system that's statewide. So the notes that they put in and they enter is statewide. As you track them through the prison system from the time they are coming in, their
Mm-hmm.
programming, their individual sessions with their corrections counselor, the meetings with parole, all of this is documented in the same system.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go in there and you check that system, it should be like, and at this point, somebody should be looking into this information. And I wonder who all is allowed to obtain and receive this information.
Right.
Because if you track it that way, then, and that's just for this piece of the conversation that, and
Mm-hmm.
you track it that way, you can have all record proof. And then even when he meets with parole, because there's a system as well, when you work for the state and Department of Justice,
Right.
like everybody said, parole, the Pennsylvania Parole Board, they're under the umbrella of the Department of Corrections.
Right.
So as I work Department of, I know they ain't updated their technology in 3 years. It's been 3 years since I worked there, but
Gotcha.
you have access to the entire system. So we could go in and see the parole notes. You can go and see when the parole agent met with the parolee,
Mm-hmm.
if there was any extension. So any person who works for the Department of Corrections, who works for the state, unless they locked it or shut it down, had access and opportunity to look up the paper trail of Marcello Woodard. And what I will say to you is those things have to be thorough because as an inmate and
Yeah.
as a parolee, you have a right to appeal and ask questions. And when you start reaching up to superiors, it's all right here. Like I don't even got to call the person because I trust the person I employ to where I can, boom,
Yeah.
I'm gonna check your case notes, I'm gonna check your progress notes and your parolee paperwork. So with that being said, if he had an extension, it
Yeah.
would be somewhere in those notes as far as those meetings. Every time he checked in, it would just be even if it's a brief note, just to cover yourself. This day, this time, conversation, how Marcello appeared, what was his disposition, what's the game plan moving forward. Like it's called a DAP note. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you put everything in there as far as like what y'all talked about, how did he look, how did he present, how did he appear, what's the plan for the next move. So like wherever that information is coming from to question that,
Mm-hmm.
anybody, I wonder how, like, who has the right to obtain that information? Like, is it just us as people? Can we get it? Is it something that only you have to leave up to the attorney? Because
Right.
I do know this is one thing that I will say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like because I was a Pennsylvania state employee, like I understood that there was something called a right to know. Like
Yes.
people could look me up and see what when I started. They can look me up and see my salary, and they can look you up and see the progression because some of those jobs are paid by the taxpayer. So when you are a tax-paying citizen and you work for a state or a government, this is a commonwealth, there is certain information that you have the right to look up and to obtain, no matter how you like it as an employee. And you sign paperwork and documentation understanding it.
Right.
Because they also have the right to fire people in certain positions if they're not unionized. And that's why he may have such a fight because he's in a union.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you saying Cello was off parole in January
Hmm.
and he was just stringing him along, and
Yeah.
wasn't turning in his documentation or whatever, it's Seelinger's fault. It's his supervisor's fault.
Yep.
It's whoever oversees the Pennsylvania Board of Probation and Parole's fault. It
Yep.
might be all the way all over to the fault of the governor because you let something like this slip through the cracks to the point to where it turns into a murder. So
Yeah.
now it's more or less like people who are on parole who've always been complaining, they
Mm-hmm.
might have an opportunity now to start being like, hey, I've had some issues with this guys, and now they can start saying, hey, look into my case as well. So when we talk about justice, it's a lot bigger, especially when you're saying you have a reliable source that's bringing this information. When
Right.
you have information like this, and when you have an individual who's at question to the point of he will kill somebody, you know what I mean? Like his character is all the way at question. If it's right or if it
Absolutely.
was wrong, justified or not. People are truly questioning this guy. And when you question somebody who does something like that, You break them down from how they were raised to how they treated their girlfriend to their schools they went to their friends. So it's people who looking into this. You know what I mean? And it's gonna have
Yeah.
an impact and an effect on a lot of people. So it's getting to that point to where I mean, yeah, if all that information is valid and information is accurate, we all have a right to know that information. If somebody needs to be looking into it, getting it for us and obtaining it for us, and like that's just what I know based on working there. And
Hmm.
we had like that information is able to come to everybody. So again, if you say January 18th, he was supposed to be done. If there
Hmm.
was a special probation, there was a meeting on that day that gave him that extended of probation, extension of probation. And then
Yes.
after he given it, it had to be signed off by a judge. Now a judge may not have actually used the pen to sign, but they stamped email, they read it, approved it, it
Hmm.
went through secretaries, whatever. So a lot of hands would have and should have touched that piece of paper. And if they did, then a lot of those people will be or should be held accountable. And again, maybe that could be what's taking up so long with the investigation because it's an actual process. But
Hmm.
as they are stringing along the process and they are not giving us information that we are allowed to have, like we have the right to know as citizens,
Hmm.
it gets to the point to where we are allowed to be loud, and it gets to the point to where we are allowed to ask questions. And when we start asking questions, and as it goes longer, more people are providing information, or more people who of value and of reason are providing insight and information that's somebody who studies law. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
that's who your source was. So I'm not trying to out nobody. You know what I mean? Or that's somebody who
Right.
works there. That's somebody who knows X, Y, and Z. So as time goes on, information comes in. But yeah, if that's the case, what you're saying based on your sources, I'm no attorney. You're no attorney. This is not legal advice by no means.
Right.
Cello may have been just gunned down as an innocent man because his parole agent extended his parole for whatever reasons or whatever their relationship was, and
Yeah.
all of that outside of our opinions,
Yeah.
outside of our feelings, outside of our public thoughts. You have a job to do and you have to thoroughly document, and that's even in the job descriptions. Like they ask, like the requirements is to be able to access um
Yep.
IT type, how to break it down. Y'all know how to work the computer, these systems, thoroughly type and understand, read, retain information, so on and so forth. So that's even an educational piece of being a parole agent and having to have some of those credentials so
Yep.
that you can document your process, because you're taking an oath all the way up to you feel you had a right to kill a man. You have the right to, you should be able to be educated enough, sharp enough, and smart enough to articulate and rationalize the reason why you did it. You should have
Hmm.
no problem being able to stand on that. So it shouldn't be this much chaos if it was justified. So maybe he did kill him in cold blood and he hiding.
And that could be, I just a couple of other sources very close to me have said that exactly what we are talking about has occurred before. Now, the result obviously did not occur, but the uh, shady parole agent's actions
Mm-hmm.
towards the parolee has occurred before. Um, it may be more often than what people think. And so it makes you think, well, wait a minute. Let's kind of backtrack and look at this thing in a different way, because um, until they provide the documentation that you said, there would have to be a paper trail somewhere. There would have to be a paper trail somewhere. And if there is no paper trail that shows that Marcello Woodard was supposed to be off parole on July 18th, we have a different investigation. And I can't help but to just say this, man. We're 98 days into an investigation. I don't understand that. Now, here's the other question. You and I were talking about this yesterday. Um, the investigation was done by the state police about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago.
Right,
Hertz sent it back.
right.
I would love to know why it was sent back to the state police. What are they going to investigate that they hadn't investigated from the beginning? And why is it taking so long? And so, when we've only had in 98 days two statements from the DA, the only thing that we can do is speculate And then as we get a little further through the process, we get some sources that end up reaching out and saying some things that make you think otherwise. And so all we're doing on this platform is poking holes into what could have actually happened. It's the what if. And if that scenario is true, this is a game changer for this investigation. So I would love for the DA's office to prove that there are some documents showing that he was
Listen, man,
supposed to be off
there are
July 18th.
documents. What I will say to you is, based on the way the system works,
Yeah.
there are documents right now in that, because there were inmates who were. It was an inmate who worked with me. She had a
Mm-hmm.
life sentence, so I had to give progress notes for when she worked for me. There are documents right now. I don't haven't worked there in 3 years that
Mm-hmm.
still have my name in the system saying her progress, regardless of if I worked there, because you are property of the state when you were
It's
in jail
record,
and you were on
right?
parole.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's public record. So there are
Yeah.
documents and there's record proof and there's information of everything. Because this is another thing. When Bill Cosby went to jail
Yep.
and he was going to state, they sent the email out. It came all the way from the top of the state, like, do not look this record up. Do not have any public, like, you ain't allowed to talk about Bill Cosby, none of that, because you get to read somebody's, when you work for the state in the Department of Corrections, you get to look at their everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I say their everything, their first session with their counselor, the police report, the court documents, the parole notes. Like, because you have to, what I ain't gonna say what you have to. They
Mm-hmm.
expect for you to learn this individual through and through. So when they have all of them assessments and all of that, when they meet with the, like, you got to figure out if you're dealing with somebody who lying with you, who trying to trick you, who trying to deceive you, who trying to play games with you. So when you work for the Department of Corrections and you're dealing with individuals who are incarcerated,
Mm-hmm.
the expectation is to treat them in a manner as if they'll lie to you, but your job or the goal is to help them be better. So you need
Right.
to know them through and through. So if anything ever took place with Marcello, it's documented in there. It's still in there right now. Anybody who works for the Department of Corrections can probably look it up. When you look his name or his number up, it'll just say deceased on it. You know what I mean? But as far as his notes and
Right.
all of that information is probably still open to where, they can see who put what notes in there and how that was documented. So when you say, like, you wonder if it's documented or like how thorough the documentation has to be, I'm
Right.
telling you from my own personal working experience,
Mm-hmm.
working for the state,
Mm-hmm.
working for the Department of Corrections, I've been um I've seen the information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you have to document that, and all of that stuff has to go into the report. So when you asking questions, or when we asking questions, it's more or less like what took place. Like when you saying this, they were supposed to be off then,
Yeah.
and they extended it. Like, we should be able to see, or somebody should be able to know the record proof and the tracking of that information has to be reported, because if not, you will be addressed by your supervisor. Hey, what's up with your caseload? Let's have a caseload review. Let's do a
Right.
caseload report. What's going on with this one, and then the goal is not to be punitive when you work as a parole agent. It's more or
Right.
less, when you have that case review, you want to be the agent that's like, yeah, I don't have guys who go back, because no, who wants to run the street and chase after somebody when you're just a parole agent? Like, I remember working with James Place, Mr. Jim Place, when he was a parole agent, and he came back and worked to the prison. I worked with him at Cadenzia. He
Mm-hmm.
was as a parole agent on the street, and then when I got a job at Cambridge Springs, he was like the psychology guy. He worked in the head of the department. So like, he spoke about that, like, he was like, I loved when I used to be able to have guys and I can help them and meet with their kids and hear the glory stories, because a parole agent is somebody who's supposed to have a good rate to, have the accolades. So
Right.
you want to be having all of this documentation. So when you have your report, you want to be able to brag about your report, brag about the work that you were doing, and have the lowest send back rate. Because when you send people back to jail, you got to do more paperwork. You got to track them down. You got to cuff them. You got to take them back to jail, and you have to justify why you sending them back if they go to court. Because when they come to court, the parole agent is going to be in court as well. So that's more time anyway.
Right.
So based on my experience working in the Department of Corrections, based on my experience working with parole agents and having conversations with parole agents, that's why a lot of them just go back to the jails, because they get tired of running the street. So like, yeah, like at the end of the day, he had to report and have all of that information documented and needed to be thorough. And his job was to just make sure that he was able to ease into society and then be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Because even like I was a drug and alcohol counselor.
Yeah.
I used to want to brag about my caseload who did good. Like it's still people to this day. Like I remember their name and their face and be like, yeah, that dude or that lady, I remember the days and the times and I remember the specific conversation. So all of that's documented because that's how you build up your, I guess, your reputation as a parole agent or as a counselor or as a employee in the department. Like,
Right.
so yeah, it's all, trust me, it's all documented somewhere, and it's that information is accessible. I don't know how many people have the right to it or
Mm-hmm.
how much you can gather because once you're incarcerated or
Right.
once you're on state parole, you are property of the state. The state owns you, which is why they can go in your house and search you when you're on parole. Like you give them right and permission to, which is why you can have a curfew until you break that. Like that's like a contract that you sign when you
Mm-hmm.
accept your plea, when you go to jail, when a judge serves you them papers, you get all of these documents. They are literally telling you they own you and how. You got to go to drug and alcohol counseling, mental health counseling. You might have to
Mm-hmm.
go to parenting classes. You got to go to work. You got to have a curfew. Some people be having to have monitors, like legitimate. I own you. You'll do what I say up until this date. So we understand maybe he had a curfew, he was out late. We
Mm-hmm.
understand if that was where his home plan was, they had every right to search that. We understand that if this was just a, hey, I'm pulling up on you and you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, we get all of that. The
Right.
role of him was to, okay, assess the situation. And if the situation looks off, I have to come up with a plan to make sure nothing bad happens here. Because again, why not reach for a taser? If you equip like that,
Yeah.
why not reach for a taser? So yeah, the job of the parole agent when they give you it's called a DAP note. So you know what I mean? Like when you meet with somebody and you engaging with somebody, there's supposed to be a plan and you assess the situation. And
Mm-hmm.
based on your professional assessment, it is your job to develop a plan. And it all needs to be documented from A to Z. If not, that's your ass.
Yeah.
That's the way
Yeah.
it worked for the Department of Corrections. I did 7.5 years of working with the DOC for the DOC, and
Yep.
then working 3 years at Cadencia. They had a DOC contract, and the majority of the inmates who came who were male through the program from the DOC was getting released from jail. They were assigned to my caseload, and the documentation was the same. And it goes to Second Street. Like when you on state parole or state corrections, you are awarded this, like they own you.
Yeah. I want to address a couple things here really quick too. So, through that process, obviously there were a lot of different things that could have been documented. Drug tests, when he visited the office, those particular types of things, and all of that should be on record as well. There was a comment that was placed in the chat that has been removed, and I want to address that.
I
Because it
can't see.
looks
I'm
like,
trying to find it.
yeah, it looks like someone's trying to start something. But I want to address that, asking if somebody was on the witness list for the parole agent. There is no witness list. There is no case. There has not been an arrest. There has not been an indictment. You have a case after you have an arrest and an indictment. They're not working on an actual case right now for trial because they're in an investigation. It may not even make it there because we're at 98 days yet and we haven't heard a word. So there is no list right at this particular point, just to address that. Okay. So,
Right.
I'm just, when I look at all of this stuff that could possibly happen, I cannot put anything past Kevin Seelinger. We know he's had a troubled past. I know from another very good source when he was a correction officer down at Albion that he had some issues down there, some behavioral issues, and he has a huge past. Um, I would not put lying past him because we already know what he's capable of doing. And so,
Right.
if we know what he's capable of doing, then you got to ask the what ifs. And we got to ask the what ifs because Hertz ain't giving us nothing to go by. And sources are telling us that these things have occurred before with other parolees that were technically off, but not because they were given an extension. Now, in some other cases, I don't know if this is to be true here, but in other cases, what happens is the parole agent approaches that parolee. They say they're going to take care of them. They meet with them off site. They don't do any piss tests for that time period, and they end up having the parolee pay them. So the parole agents getting their pockets fat.
Hold on, wait.
Yes,
Hold on,
sir.
hold on. You talking extortion here and illegal arrest?
It happens, and I've had sources tell me that these things happen. I wouldn't put any of this past them. I wouldn't put any of this because we know for a fact, and we saw on video for a fact that 12 seconds after Sealinger got out of the car, Marcello Woodard was shot 3 times. Right? I can still see the image of the video right now. Right. When I look at that, it's easy for me to think that could this have possibly been what was going on? And then if he was 2 weeks from getting off, maybe Sealinger was like, well, look, what if he tells when he gets off? Then I'm busted and I'm going to go to jail. Now I'm speculating. I'm not saying that this is what happened, but what if it did? What if it did? Like, this investigation, man, can go in a totally different way. Now, we can add on to this, DC. You talked about the people that are responsible. If this were true, if the DA is trying to cover this, yo, we got a whole different issue because she took an oath. And we know that there was a conflict of interest because their families know each other. Mm-hmm. Is he worth throwing your career out the window for? I hope that this speculation is not true. I hope that I'm just asking questions. But we're at 98 days and we've heard from the DA twice and there's been no press conferences. I can't believe her either. I can't believe what is going on. The whole Erie community cannot believe that it's taken this long. And we're just sitting here like every day we're posting on Facebook, #Justice for Cello, and we're all in this thing to win it. We're all in this thing to find justice for Cello. But what are they doing behind closed doors that we don't know about? And if this what if scenario is true, is the DA involved in this? Who all is involved in this? Who knew about it? Is Aaron Osborne involved? Did he know that this was going on? If it was going on, like there's a lot of stuff that we can speculate. And the reason why we can is because we can speculate because they're not giving us any facts to go on. You're going to give me the fact to go on that he was being dragged in the car, but we don't hear nobody yelling, "Stop! Please stop! Stop!" Right. None of that. Right. Come on, man. Come on. That's so old. Like you can hear everything in the video, even though the video may not be as clear as day. You can hear the audio, and you don't hear anybody getting dragged, and you don't see anybody getting dragged at all. So we have to poke holes in these stories and speculate just a little bit. Anything else to say about that topic?
Yeah, because the interesting thing about it is as far as releasing that information, I guess because as we think about Pennsylvania being a Commonwealth state, like a lot of us have our gripes, you know what I mean, about that, and a lot of us have our issues about it because it's like, oh, they always doing what's in the best interest of or whatever. But within this situation, the most important thing about Pennsylvania being a right to know state is that when it comes to certain matters, there are certain people who sit in positions who obtain and collect information, and these are public matters. And we as the people, have the right to know certain things. There is certain information that they don't have to release to the people because maybe it's too explicit, and that's for certain eyes and certain people to see. And attorneys may have said, hey, don't release this information. But there is certain information that, regardless of who's involved, we
Mm-hmm.
as citizens of the state, of the Commonwealth,
Yep.
have the right to know information when things are taking place within our environment, when things are taking place within our community that could potentially impact us, that could potentially affect us, that could potentially harm our children, our neighbors, our loved ones, no matter what.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania is a Commonwealth state, which is a right to know state. And it's like, when you have a right to know, regardless of feelings, you
Yep.
have a right to know. And as a district attorney works for the citizens
That's right.
of Erie County, she owes us, and she took an oath to offer us a public duty and a public service, and to be clear, concise, and transparent with us about the work that she is doing. And when we are asking questions, it is her job to update and to inform us for the case in the matter of public safety of the people, so things don't go array or disarray, or people don't lose their cool, and it becomes an issue amongst the public, all because we want to know information
Yep.
that we have a right to know,
Right.
because we live in a Commonwealth state, which is a right to know state. So
Yep.
when it comes to the information being released and us asking questions and us having to speculate, or make all of these assumptions, the only reason why we act like this is because some of us know that we have a right to know this information, and
Yep.
that's why some of us, myself personally, am asking certain questions and am trying to obtain certain information, because I have the right to know, as a citizen, information on these matters, because I live here. You understand what I'm saying? And
That's
like,
right.
I have concerns of things that go on within my community, and any person who is asking questions has the right to ask, because they have a right to know, because we live in a Commonwealth state, and the people who are running and operating our state signed an oath to serve us. So that's what I have to say about that. And as far as the information, us wanting to get the information, and us asking questions, and us going to city council meetings, county council meetings, and us being so adamant about the district attorney speaking
Mm-hmm.
to us, and us being so adamant about and progress and go. And that's why, and this is another thing too.
Yeah.
If you pay attention to those meetings, there are other people, and I know you from out of town. I
Yeah.
mean, not from out of town, but you live out of town. There
Right.
are other people who don't live in our community who are asking similar questions as people who live in our community, because they also understand, and they also know they have the right to know, which is why they're reaching out to people who they see who are asking for help, who are crying for help. That's why you see new names and new faces in these Facebook posts and in these Facebook comments. That's why you see so many different people engaging and interacting, and you see some of these people and you're like, who are these people? Where did these people come from? It's because these people understand that regardless of how anybody feels, or
Mm-hmm.
regardless of anybody's opinion, they have a right to know as well. Even for the people who like, that guy was a bad guy, or why are you guys making so much noise, or you guys shouldn't be doing all of this. They
Right.
understand, in a Commonwealth state, we have a right to know certain informations in order for us to proceed and live safe in a city, in a state that is to offer services that are going to not only protect, but to serve us.
Yep. Yep. Day 98, ladies and gentlemen. We are at day 98. It's been way too long. Today is Wednesday. On Friday, we'll be at day 100. Um, this is just it's just something that I didn't think would be taking this long, and it just makes no sense. We need to realize that this is a marathon, not a sprint, and we got to be ready to keep running every day at a slower pace because this thing is going to go for quite some time. And I really think, to be honest with you, D, um, election time's coming up. Do they wait until after the election to try to make some type of decision? I really think they're stretching this thing. They've stretched it out 98 days already. Why not wait until after the election? I mean, it's not like the family doesn't want closure, right? What is wrong with them? I mean, when the political side of things gets involved here, everybody everybody gets hurt. But do you think that they're stretching this out, waiting
So
for election
I'm
time?
glad that you mentioned that because at the end of the day, so like this is something that I want to address and express. You know what I mean? Because this is an opportunistic time.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And I feel like it's a lot of energy being poured or sprint or spread in the wrong direction as far as people who are being questioned for seeking opportunity and
Right.
they are not realizing the people who actually are gaining opportunity off of this.
Right.
So I'm glad that you brought up election time. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that you mentioned that because it is election time. And
Yep.
regardless of like it, and we're not gonna say that this was planned so that everybody would be able to have some type of steam to run their election.
Right.
When you think about and you consider that, and then it's like, okay, this is the perfect time to where we can either juice up somebody's campaign or we can either break down somebody's campaign. And a lot of us need to understand that that is going on and not get mixed up too much into the actual politics of it.
Hmm.
But it has raised awareness as far as like being able to know who the people are who running, understanding who sits in certain positions and whose job they're supposed to do. But because we've turned all of this energy towards our elected officials and it is around election time,
Yeah.
they are starting to notice that and they're starting to be aware of that. And there are people who are trying to take advantage of that. So when we start to, move forward and have some conversations about people who we feel like or who we are assuming
Hmm.
maybe trying to take advantage of the opportunities that may be coming from the death of Marcello Woodard.
Yeah.
We need to be putting our eyes on the people who are the decision makers who are now making more noise than they normally did or coming in and trying to like play politics about it because there are a lot of people who are doing that as well as far as like you know what I mean? There are people who are trying to boost their campaigns off of this, and there are people who are trying to diminish other people's campaigns off of this. So
Right.
politics definitely is going to play a role in this. I can't speculate to say whether they're waiting to make a decision after or not. I know Elizabeth Hertz isn't running for any public office, but I know Jeremy Leitner is.
Yeah.
So she does have, I guess, a horse in the race, and I'm not sure how good or bad it would look for him if whatever direction anything were to go, and the election is right around the corner. So that could be a strategic play. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? As well as seeing who's going to get involved with it, who's not going to get involved with it, because you've seen the back and forth on social media.
Hmm.
And there's by the person by the name of Cole Shinley who I shared his video um earlier. You know what I mean? He came to the county council meeting and spoke, and he also made a post and he made mention of that as well. Like he was like, everybody needs to be paying attention. And he said it's a shame that there's certain people who are trying to take advantage of this situation to play politics with it.
Right.
So we can't. I don't think that the district attorney has that much power to, or even thought to stretch it like that. But
Hmm.
when you take all things into consideration, and because we are being not spoken to, or we are receiving vague information,
Right.
all questions are on the table until we're spoken to. So the election time could be also be playing a major role in everything that's going on because it's coming up. Like I watched the debate with Daria, and the shooting of and death of Marcello Woodard was brought up during the debate, and
Hmm.
her and her opponent, I don't know his name, but they both had the opportunity to speak to it. So
Okay.
please and
Okay.
believe you me,
Hmm.
this situation is playing a major role in everybody's politics because, and what I will say to that is,
Yeah.
when you think about opportunities, it's because they now see that the community or the people are waking up and they're
Yep.
understanding who they can speak to, what they can talk about, and which way to direct their energy. Not just about a shooting and a killing, but about certain questions that they have about their own personal interests. So when you talk about opportunistic, even if it's to make it a safer city,
Yeah.
this situation creates an opportunity for us to be able to have discussions and conversations on how are we going to prevent this in the future and why do we feel like these things are happening and what can we do for the quote unquote underdogs and how are we going to make Erie feel safe and strong and how to rebuild and repair the nostalgic feeling of the Erie that we all grew up to love and know. So again, when you talk about and you think about opportunities, like there's something to gain for everybody in this situation, and
Right.
it's not a monetary thing. Some people are just trying to gain influence. Some people are trying to gain trust. Some
Hmm.
people are trying to gain votes. Some people are trying to gain change. Some people are trying to gain and repair relationships within the community. Some people are trying to build their community programs up and have a positive impact on the people. So there are a lot of people who are doing different things as opportunistic. And when you rewind it all the way back to the original question, politics, the elections, these campaigns and the events, they definitely, this situation here is definitely playing a major role into it. And they didn't plan it, so it wasn't no setup to the point to where like let's push this local election. But I'm glad that a lot more people are understanding the importance of local elections and decision makers and how things happen or don't happen for us.
Right. And speaking of election time, you still have time to register to vote. October 20th is the deadline. If you have not registered to vote, please, please, please get out there and register to vote. In order to affect change then, you have to affect change now. And the change happens with you. You have to change what you're not doing and register to vote. If you're not registered to vote, register to vote. You are the change. You are the change now that will affect change down the line. So please go and register to vote. Okay, listen, we're going to move on a little bit. Man, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Last night was the Erie County Council meeting, and a lot to. I want to start off with the resolution. They know that we as community members sent them a resolution that we wanted them to adopt. They rewrote it, rewrote it, and rewrote it, and the two that were very, I guess, aggressive in trying to get this on and passed were Andre Horton, like an uncle to me, and Rock Copeland. It was voted on the agenda yesterday. However, it's day 97, right? So although it's a good thing that we have a resolution from Marcello Woodard, but there's some things we want to talk about the resolution. Is his name put on this thing for a particular reason on day 97? D, you were very vocal at the meeting last night. I've seen a bunch of the posts that we've had from other people speaking at the meeting. And one of the key things that stood out to me that you said was it's disrespectful for us to have a resolution that's passed, even though that's a good thing, but it's passed on day 97. Why the hell did it take so long for a resolution for Marcello Woodard to be passed? Your thoughts on that?
I mean, to answer that question, like I believe it was kind of insinuated in the finance meetings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you think about, some of the things like in the finance meetings, every time the resolution came up, it was a reference to something like it was verbal bricks, and then it was like fastballs, like Andre said that in the first two. So it's more or less like, yo, Dre, like, yo, they ain't not playing. Like, we need to do something. Like, what are we gonna do? Let's come up with something. Because I know the resolution idea was Rock's idea from the beginning, right? So then you have Dre, he got to prepare himself for city council. So he's shifting lanes. You know what I mean? So we already know, like, Andre he's running for city council. So he's shifting lanes to where the issues that he had to deal with on county council are not going to be the same issues he has to do on city council.
Right.
Rock will still be there. So Rocker more or less is trying to take charge or step up. Okay, let's do this. I had a personal conversation with Rock. Then me, Terry, and Jerry met with Rock. It's been text message exchange, and I'll continue to say the same thing to him specifically. Like, yo, why not just host a town hall meeting like you did when the ICE situation was going on?
Right.
Andre said from the door when they first did that, I don't agree with that. That's why I don't get into that type of stuff. So Dre even stood his stance then. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like when that took place, because when I seen that, I'm like, oh, wow, like that was great. And I want to keep going. I'm referencing that for a reason. But I'm like, oh, wow, that was a great thing. So when I seen it, I'm like, Rock, how did you? He was like, well, this is how you do it. And I talked to Terry Scatella, And they like, it can't be more than 3 people, which
Mm-hmm.
takes me to the email that I sent to Jim Renarski on May 30th.
Right.
Hey man, I just witnessed greatness. What can we do? Can we have one of these meetings in a place where I can see all of these people? This is what I was saying, say all of that, but I was asking for an opportunity to sit down and have a meeting with him to see if they will be willing to have a town hall meeting to discuss what was going on at Erie's East Side, how we can build it, how we can develop it, how we can grow it. So I had a conversation with him after having a conversation with Rock. So again, Rock was aware that I had concerns about Erie's East Side, and he was aware I talked to Jim Renarski. We
Mm-hmm.
all know Andre's aware of this because this is what he's been advocating for, fighting for, and screaming for the longest since I
That's
was a
right.
kid.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? So we all know this, but he's also pivoting to another position, but he still has to hold his ground in the position. So that's what I said this morning. He's stepping up, even when he said like, drum roll. I disagree with the attorney. He said it loud, like, and that's the liberty of us being able to speak and talk. We are allowed to disagree with one another.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a good idea. Let's push it through. So, all right, boom. But again, asking for the town hall meeting, Andre had already said from the door he wasn't with that before it was Cello and when it was Ice.
Yeah.
I knew Terry was with it. I knew Chris Drexel was with it. I knew Rock Copeland was with it. He was the one that put it together. So I asked the 3 of them. Dre just happened to hop in. So now I'm like, yo, you showing a lot of passion. You showing a lot of concern. Why don't you do? We all know, like, Dre be in the community, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you were running to him at Country Fair, Walmart. Hell, you might even see him at Moe's getting gas at Manus. So it's like,
Yep.
ain't nobody calling him out saying, yo, you ain't doing enough. It's more or less like when you look at the big picture and y'all pushing so hard for this and you just gonna put it on paper and document it, it's like, yo, do more than that.
Yeah.
Because again, that may have already been a rule in the law. Everybody was talking at the beginning, like, where did the money go for the body cams for probation? Or if it was parole, I'm not sure. But this was a state issue, not a county issue. So when I was going in there and I was asking for a town hall meeting, I had been prior to because I seen it prior to, and it was hosted by Rock, it was hosted by Terry, it was hosted by Chris Drexel. They had it at the Jefferson Education Society. So I'm like, yo, can you do that for us? And when I say us, I mean our people. And when I say location, I mean specifically the East Side. And the reason I reached out to Jim Winarski is because Erie County Council is
Mm-hmm.
split into districts, and I live in his district. So
Mm-hmm.
my concerns based on county council issues are not Andre's concern because they are not his district. So if
Gotcha.
we go to it technically, based on the way it works and it operates, what happens in my neighborhood based on Dre's job at Erie County Council is not his business. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what
Yeah.
like we need to understand when counties broken down by district,
Right.
there are certain county council people who serve and who are dedicated to certain districts. Above 26th Street, I don't know how far it stretches or how wide, but
Right.
where Cello was shot and where I live, that
Mm-hmm.
is Jim Winarski's district,
Okay.
which is why I reached out to Jim. I'm not
Yeah.
exactly sure what district Rock and all of them oversee. That's not my concern because I
Right.
don't live there. So I
Right.
reached out to him. And then again, so when we having all of this, Jim, do something. But Rock jumped forward and he wanted to play savior. And he
Right.
hopped out there in the line of the fire and said, this is what I'll do. Because he keep having those conversations at the finance meeting as a chair and breaking the meeting. So it's like, okay, so you're willing to break a meeting, to have a meeting about filling out a piece of paper on day 97. But
Yeah.
on day 10, 12,
Yeah.
or even if we were to say BC before Cello,
Yeah.
30, 40 days BC, I was asking, yo, the east side of Erie is a little, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
we want the east side of like downtown Erie. We want, yeah, I mean, some of these organizations that's building the city to come on over to where we at. Like, I was saying this. And then when something happens to Cello and it's like, wow, y'all going back down there?
Right.
Ain't no y'all when it's
Mm-hmm.
coming to certain things being said because I know me,
Mm-hmm.
I myself personally have
Mm-hmm.
been pushing for change in the Erie area and the Erie community, specifically the east side, specifically in this district. So yes, yeah, that's how it broke down. So we know Andre's on his way out from county council to city council. So
Mm-hmm.
once he becomes in there, then the city's at large. He has concerns over the entire. So anybody on city council, I don't care what side of town they live at, it
Mm-hmm.
is at large. You can live east. You can have 3 people who live house to house to house, and they all be elected officials for city council and they still have to take care of the houses on the west side that they don't live in. So that's why it's different conversations for different bodies of government and
Right.
different things that are being said and different information being passed along. So as far as like them putting a resolution to do body cameras and to fund it and to pay for it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exactly sure how that is that much of a big deal. It is an acknowledgement that we're going to do this because y'all came down here, but
Mm-hmm.
it's comparing apples to oranges. So when they got the 5-2 vote, I was saying this to other people like, you can't even be upset with the people who said no, because they were advised by the solicitor to not do this because this is not a Erie City Council collective decision where we want all of them to collectively stand together and say, we just know based on actions, based on words, based on background, the people who serve on county council who have said they have our back, and we are specifically asking them in a public place, in
Mm-hmm.
a public setting that goes on public record, can y'all please do something to help us because you have set a precedent for another population that lives
Right.
in the city of Erie that when something bad happens to them or something traumatic happens to them, that you will do something to
Mm-hmm.
address it. And it is public record, it is public proof. It was Rock Copeland, Terry Scatella, and Chris Drexel. So those are the three individuals who have shown in the past they're willing to come out and speak. Andre said from the beginning, I don't know why they did. So even if we think about it now, right?
Right.
If they were to put the ice thing on the board back in, let's say, April,
Okay.
Andre would have been one of those people to say no.
Right.
So this, and again, he couldn't have been shamed for that because maybe that's not his people.
Right.
So he stood his ground then, and he's standing it now as far as on the town hall meeting, but he never showed bias or set a precedent to where I'll do it for one, but I won't do it for the other.
Right.
So the very first time this happened, I
Yeah.
know for a fact Dre wasn't with it. I know for a fact Dre said no, and he stood his ground up to this one. So
Right.
we can't fault him for standing his ground, but
Right.
I have a right to continue to ask him for it because I feel connected to him and because
Absolutely.
he's being so verbal about it. But Dre saying no doesn't upset me, and me coming down there doesn't, like, bro. Before the meeting, I shook Andre hand and gave him a hug, and if I were to seen him after the meeting, like, I love Dre and Dre loved me. So like it's just, and it's great to see that him and I can have that exchange to where it's like me and Dre are men
Yeah.
and we brothers, and that's like a big brother to me. So I understand the way that's going. And that's why I keep going down there because I've seen them set a precedent that they will do it for one, but they are also setting a precedent that they won't do it for others. And the three specific people who did it, who were there, who were present, and they brought an attorney. So I don't know if they paid her or if she did it out the goodness of her heart, but I know a couple attorneys of color who we may be able to reach out to and at least get an opportunity to tell us yes or no.
Right.
So just do it for us as well and stop trying to play with Dre because they ain't gonna turn me against Dre and they ain't gonna turn Dre against me. Like I love Andre Horton and Andre Horton loves me. That's big bro. I'm little bro. That's I can call Dre right now while I'm on a live and he probably gonna say, man, get me off this bullshit. It still love me. And phone. So you know what I mean? But I understand the way it goes as far as city council. I understand the way it goes as far as county council, and that's why we want to continue to keep having these conversations to educate people, as well as when I know I'm making my asks and I'm having those conversations, I know who I'm talking to, what I'm talking about, and what I'm speaking for, and it's not to be disrespectful or to take any shots or to slight anybody or to split anything up, but it's more or less being able to be educated and understanding enough to know which direction you're supposed to aim and shoot before you just pull and shoot.
Right. And Dre was very vocal at the end of the meeting there when he had his time at the end and they came to him and he said absolutely he had something to say and
I don't know what he said. What he say?
he spoke. He spoke. He spoke a little bit. About, he if you were there, he was speaking to you. You weren't there, and he was still
Me
speaking to you.
specifically?
Yeah, well, he didn't mention any names, but he mentioned a lot of the things that you had mentioned. And you told me this before. You're like, I don't stay at the end to listen to them because we can't have any dialogue. And I have been asking for a town hall meeting so that we can go back and forth, and you can't go back and forth, so you leave at the end, right? And
Right.
I think he wants you to stay so that you can hear what he has to say. Um, but explain. You come up, you say your piece. Everyone says their piece, and then you bounce, right?
No, so normally what I do is so when I go to the meetings, I'll
Yeah.
wait because other people have the opportunity to go up and speak.
Right.
So I will at least offer my respect to the citizens,
Yeah.
and they will ask, okay, anybody else have to speak? Anybody else have to speak? And they'll ask 3 times.
Yeah.
So then after they ask it 3 times, they'll move on to the next subject. When they move on, I get up and I leave.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I had something to do. I had to show a property, and somebody was, and then you can't. Excuse me, man. In the courthouse, you don't have access to your phone. So I
That's
had a
true.
scheduled housing showing appointment, and
Yeah.
I'm checking my watch. That's why I kept checking my watch because I'm like, I can't send a text message. I
Yeah.
gotta make sure because when Cole Shinley went after me, and I love to hear him speak. Every time Cole speaks, like he be putting me on game, like he
Hmm.
be giving me courage to go sometimes too. So I be Cole always put me on game, but I had something to do yesterday. But as far as like the end of the meeting,
Yeah.
like I don't wait for even when I got the appointment, I didn't stay in the room for them to listen to them vote for me or not because it's
Right.
like, hey guys, can you come to where I'm at now and we can like meet me halfway, like, and I feel like if we quote them, that's not too much of an ask, and that's the lowest bar that they can meet us at.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
we talk about raising the bar and lowering the bar, the lowest bar that we have set is for our elected officials to come into the communities in which they serve and have conversations in us in rooms and places where we feel comfortable at and we can speak to and from. So I don't go in there to let them speak at me, but they signed up as public servants to allow us as citizens to speak to them, and that's what I go and do. I exercise my right. But
Yeah.
yeah, what did he say at the end? Like, I'm curious because he had said it to my face, and Dre said it all the time. I ain't worried about nobody. Say it to my face.
No, and Dre, Dre sticks to exactly what it is. Like you said, um, he doesn't want to have a town hall meeting. The same way that he didn't want to have a town hall meeting with ICE. Like you said, he stood firm with that. We're still asking and asking to do that because I think something could be done. But um, yeah, he I think he was more um, perturbed that um, no one was really there to hear what he had to say when he had the opportunity to say. And I can understand because there's no dialogue that's being exchanged. You know what I mean? And so I get that part um, as well. And they did pass that resolution with a 5-2 vote. And listen, so I'm outsider looking in. I'm down here in Tampa. But I did hear, and I need you to kind of explain this a little bit for me. Um, wasn't the body cams, was that passed before and money was set aside? Did something happen with the money? Like what went on with the whole body cam situation
Right.
before? And is something being done now to like slide it back in there? Like what's going on?
Well, at first I thought that, but what I believe was when those funds were first out, it was for state
Okay.
parole. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because the police have them. You know what I mean? And it works its way down. So of
Gotcha.
course they're not gonna go county probation before they go state parole wearing body cam.
Gotcha.
So I believe that there were some funds released at a point in time to provide state parole agents with body cams if they were going to allow them to carry guns. Because why would a police officer have to have a body cam and a gun, and a state parole officer doesn't? You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? So this was more or less like, well, we can equip the officers that serve us with body cams
Mm-hmm.
because the sheriff. I don't know if the sheriffs have body cams or not, but the sheriffs are off. They also serve the county. You know what I mean? But when you're in the courthouse, there's cameras everywhere. So if anything, like it would be like, okay, well then why not include the sheriffs as well? And I'm not sure if they wear body cams or not, but that's not what we're asking for. So what I'm saying is like when you talk about we're gonna make a resolution to put a body camera on somebody, it's like, okay, thank you. They're not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand being proactive as opposed to being reactive. So in the sense of it being a proactive gesture, yes, it was great. And if that's the move that they're going to make to be proactive, then I believe they said at the finance meeting talking about training their officers, as far as probation officers, and equipping them with the educational resources so they can interact in the community. So
Yeah.
that is a win for the community. That is a win for anybody that's on county probation, as far as the officers, as far as the people who are on county probation. that is a win for them if that is a new rule, especially if they follow up with education, if they follow up with resources to provide opportunities for probation people. I don't
Okay.
know the correct term, and probation officers to be able to build relationships with their caseload. And I do believe that they do. I'm not 100% sure. But
Okay.
so that was a move for county probation for them to put body cameras on them. But I've never heard of anybody had an issue with their county probation officer to where it's caused a fuss or a rift. So that was
Okay.
a good move for them being proactive in the event that this can never happen on our level. If we make sure that we put these on our officers who go out into the community,
Right.
God forbid something like this happens, we will have proof because we funded because of what happened to Cello. So when you
Right.
think about it in the sense of being good, because again, I understand what it means
Mm-hmm.
if it actually goes through and it is actually funded. Is it it's a preventative measure to make sure that this never happens to somebody who is ever on county probation, and a county probation officer has to go out into the community to
Mm-hmm.
search for somebody, because usually when you check in with somebody on county probation, you go to the courthouse, which is, can you go in the courthouse, you ain't know, you got to lock your phone up. And
Yeah,
then when you go up there, remember the courthouse, it's certain floors that used to be a jail. So they can
that's
lock
true.
you in that joint. You know what I mean? Like if you
Yeah.
want to get crazy, you can get locked in county probation. And then the sheriff's office is right there and his guns
Right.
all in there. So that is a preventative measure that is a big jump and a big reach,
Right.
because that type of stuff doesn't happen on that level. So yes, it was proactive. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
kudos for it being proactive. It was preventative for the future, yes. But also what it was, when you think about it on an intellectual term, it
Mm-hmm.
was a smoke screen to get us to stop coming down there to come to them, because that is why they did it. It was on
Right.
day 97 after, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you take it because it was good. You take it as a dub. But it's
Right.
like, okay, but now that we taking this dub, we want more dubs because you're showing that you're willing to do something. As
Yeah.
long as we are patient, and as long as we are consistent, and as long as we are loud, they just showed us that they will give what they consider to be something for us. So by no means does this mean for anybody who's been going to those meetings, or for anybody who's been on social media, or for anybody who's been seeking justice, don't let this part be something that makes you feel like, okay, now we can slow down because the county can. Nah, now we need to go down there and maybe we can turn it down a little. Maybe we don't have to scream as loud, or maybe we don't have to be so upset in our words. But now we can say to them, hey, we see that you guys are willing to do something. Can you give us a little more, like a conversation? Can
Mm-hmm.
you provide us with some resources? Because they did show that they're willing to give something. So
Yeah.
maybe we need to figure out a way to tailor the ask, and maybe we need to figure out a way to change the conversation. But so yes, was it something? Yes. Was it proactive for the future of probation? Yes. Was it reactive to Cello? Yes. Was it insulting? Yes. Because what you did was slap his name on a piece of paper for somebody that don't got nothing to do with it, to
Yeah.
get us to shut up. And I don't agree with that part, because I don't agree with somebody trying to subliminally ask me to stop talking, or subliminally ask a group of individuals who are crying out loud to stop talking with just a piece of paper in the resolution. So that's why I disagree with it, but I understand the proactive and preventative measures that it will take for future. But they
Right.
set a precedent.
I'm gonna talk about something that I probably shouldn't talk about because
Uh-oh. Hold on. Uzi. Don't listen, man. One thing we gonna do, this is before you say that, when you make statements like that, it's probably
yeah.
best that you go with your gut, because again,
Yep.
the whole goal is to get justice for Cello and to move forward and continue to give the public the facts.
Yes.
So I'm glad we live. So I'm gonna tell you, if it's something burning your heart and you know that you're not the person who needs to say what you're supposed to say,
Yep.
then you don't be that person, because you are keeping us on point and
Yep.
you are not here. So people are looking at you completely different. So if
Yep.
it's some heat or if it's some smoke, it is not your responsibility, cuz, to take that, and it ain't your responsibility to address that. Allow it to be addressed how it's being addressed. Allow it to be handled how it's being handled. We are obtaining information for Cello. We are
Yep.
giving information to the public about Cello. We are giving people the opportunity to speak their concerns about Cello and to share their opinions. And we don't have to address those opinions or those concerns, because we don't hold those positions to. The people who are in charge are watching our podcast.
Right.
The people who are in charge are reading the comments. The people in charge can read the temperature and the nature of the community. And it
Yep.
is their job to grasp hold of this. As far as us and what we signed up for, it is our job to keep the main thing, as you and Malcolm always say, and to
That's true.
continue to seek justice for Cello. So if you're about to start a conversation with me and you say to me, I probably shouldn't, then I'm gonna tell you, man to man, you probably shouldn't, and we will continue to seek justice for Cello.
You know me oh too well, cuz. You know me oh too well. Back to what I was going to say outside of that then. 5-2 split for the resolution. Were you
Right.
surprised? Are you happy about that? Did you think that that's what it was going to be? What are your thoughts on that?
So as far as the 5-2 split, like honestly, it really didn't make a difference to me
Okay.
because that wasn't really something that I was pushing for, but I could understand the split.
Okay.
So again, like I don't think that the split was, oh well, we wish that this would have happened. I don't think the split was we don't care. I don't think the split was we don't understand. So like, I myself wanted to at least make sure that I said that and that was clear because, like I said, Dre wasn't for the town hall meeting, so he wouldn't be for the town hall meeting now. So if they were to say let's do a resolution on the flip side, we
Yeah.
would expect some splits as well. I never I never really have big issues with splits, especially when it's 5-2, because a 5-2 is a guarantee. Because
Mm-hmm.
you never know why the other person has the reason why they don't want to, and
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. That shows that somebody is willing to stand for what they represent, no matter what. Because Andre said out loud, like, I disagree with the attorney, and that's my right to, and he's not an attorney, so I'll be respecting them sometimes. Now
Mm-hmm.
there are some other splits, and there are some situations where people vote no on, and it kind of makes me question because it's like, you're voting no on something that can have a huge impact on the amount of people that can change their lives.
Yeah.
But that resolution that they put up yesterday, it didn't change anybody's life. It didn't move anything forward. It didn't progress for us. It didn't give any sense of safety or security. It was just a purpose served of a body of government who did something within their authority to be able to do so. So the split doesn't upset me. The split doesn't bother me. I don't feel yay or nay. I feel like it should have never been on the agenda. I feel like that should have been a conversation that they had at lunch,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean, to be like, hey y'all, what y'all think? Should we do this? And with the solicitor present, because he verbally said, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. But it also showed that people are willing to stand up for what they believe in, because the solicitor is one person who says I don't agree.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Dre who like, well, I'm going against what you say. Then you got 4 other people who will go against the solicitor. You got 2 other people who are either going with the solicitor, going against the other 5, or standing up for what their own believes in. So I feel like that 5-2 split,
Yeah.
it showed true government. If you be objective about it and you remove your personal feelings and your personal interest,
Mm-hmm.
because again, I probably would have been like, yeah, no, don't put. Listen, it's certain pieces of paper that you just like, hey man, don't put my name on that one, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's certain. I don't care if we, like, I don't think that's a good idea. Like I don't want to put my money on that ticket type of thing.
Right. Right. Right.
So that was one of them situations to where I don't feel no type of way to where nobody should be shamed for. And that's just my opinion though. I
Yeah.
can't, you know what I mean? I can't tell anybody how to feel about the people who voted no, because everybody has their own opinions and everybody's had their own experiences with the people who serve on that council. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, the 5-2 split thing wasn't really surprising to me, but it doesn't upset me or make me look at any person any less. Like, and they all know how I feel about them up there. So it's like they didn't gain respect, lose respect. They didn't earn favor, lose favor. Like I'm very vocal about how I feel about the subjects that they speak on when they vote on. So that's how I feel about that.
Your segment last night at the county council meeting, you started off praising Andre Horton. I know how close you guys are. You know how close I am with the Horton family. Me and Kyle graduated high school together, grew up together. Man, Gary and Dre are like my uncles, and I know you're tight with him as well. And you started off giving him his flowers, and you went probably about 45 seconds to a minute. I cracked up because I believe you only get 3 minutes at county council, and midway through, you said, "Can I get a little bit of my time back since I gave you your flowers?" Right, and then cuz I think you went about 6 minutes total, and they let you. So
Mm-hmm.
you broke protocol in
Mm-hmm.
such a smooth way. But then you went out and you were fired up.
Right.
Talk about what you talked about yesterday.
So yeah, no, it's crazy, man. You just kind of like just that was my little yeah. I mean, you just threw my little strategy. I know everybody's seen it, but you didn't have to dissect me like that because now they gonna know.
You know, I'm a
Um,
reporter. I look at
right,
things.
right, right, right. But yeah, no. So yeah, because again, like what I was noticing,
Yeah,
based on things that I was seeing on social media and based on people that were reaching out to me and people were having conversation with me, like they felt like the last time that I went down there that I was like I got a problem with Dre or
yeah,
because I remember how it turned with the Mel. Oh, you being disrespectful. It's levels to this. You know what I mean? Dre and Mel are two completely different people in my life. You
hmm,
understand? And we gonna keep the focus on Andre because we're gonna go to the city council meeting next week, and then we know we'll get into that
yeah,
because I got issues with that as well. But
hmm,
yeah, no, me and Dre. So it was like, yeah, you got to get a man his flowers, especially if it's public record, and everybody know I'm gonna share what I said on social media when I leave.
yep,
So it's like, yeah, don't think that like because everybody came. I don't know. I don't want to make it seem like it's a privilege, but or whatever. But like everybody can't come at Dre like that. Like
yeah.
Andre Horton ain't no sucker, man.
No,
You
he
can't
ain't.
talk to Dre any type of way, and you can't
Nope.
just because if that was anybody else, he would have stopped him. Then
Right.
oh, hold on, you out of order. He would have
Yep.
hit you with every rule in the book. He would have cut my time if Dre didn't respect me and Dre didn't love me. So
Right.
yeah, of course I'm gonna come in there and I'm gonna tell him I'm gonna give him his flowers and I'm gonna give him his praise because he the person who like he plays a major role in why I do what I do, and he let me know, like, yeah, come down. Dre used to be like, man, imagine what it would look like if you came down here with 10, 15 people.
Yep.
Like, this dates back. Like, I used to go down to the meetings to learn. It used to be Big, Lonnie Sherrod, and Mr. T used to go, and then Aunt McGowan used to start going with us.
Hmm.
So it was a group of different brothers who used to go, and we used to stay in touch with Dre. And he would give us okay, this is what y'all do. So then they get to the point where I'm like, I'm about to just go say something. So I
Yeah.
just go up there, let me say something. Go
Yeah.
up, I used to be like, when I first started, I'm like, yo, I don't know what this means yet, but I'm reading these agendas, and all I'm seeing is money going from here to here, here to here.
Yeah.
And I don't see no names of no people that I know in my community that's eating. You know what I mean? So when I first did
Right.
that, Dre like, yeah, I love that. Keep coming down here. So we used to make statuses. Andre need our help down there. People like, oh, what y'all going down there for? Dre this, Dre that, Dre this, Dre that. Andre need our help. If you track like everything on Facebook is so. Of course, Dre always gonna get his flowers to me, and he always gonna get all of that. And then I also made sure that I said in there, you also gave me the ability to speak up for when something is wrong, even if I feel like it's you that's doing it.
That's right.
And when I said that, he looked up at me, he
Hmm.
looked me dead in my face and gave me a sign of endearment and a
Yep.
smile and nodded his head like, you absolutely right, I did.
Because he would do the same thing.
That part. If the shoe was on the other foot, Dre would have came at anybody the same way.
That's
So
right.
again, he understands these meetings, he understands politics, he knows his role, he knows his job, and he's on his way out the door. And by no
Yeah.
means are we trying to say take an opportunity away from Andre. Like I would say loud and proud, vote for Andre Horton for Erie City Council in November.
Absolutely.
Like, so let's
100%.
not confuse that. For
Yeah.
anybody who is watching this or who will watch this or you know what I mean, who
Yep.
paying close attention and you know what I mean? Like we ain't not saying we ain't putting Dre in. We putting Dre in office because when it comes to city matters,
Yeah.
you talking about a different animal in a different playing field. You know what I mean? And that's another conversation for another day. But like when
Yeah.
you talk about giving Andre Horton access to Erie City, and you
Hmm.
talk about having a strong voice and a strong community advocate, a strong public servant who has a track record of serving,
Yep.
Andre Horton for city council, hands down. So we ain't knocking that. So again, I gave him
Yep.
his flowers. But yeah, I did ask for my time back because I didn't have my phone and I was watching my watch. And this I gotta watch, and I'm seeing the lady got her phone. So as I'm getting into it, I'm like, damn, I'm running out of time, and I still got because I took notes and
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the finance meeting. So pretty much what I went there and I said was like, what I was like, okay, what y'all did in this finance meeting, I don't know the rules of a finance meeting. So I'm gonna say
Right.
that and be clear.
Yep.
I don't know how the finance meeting goes. So I'm like, if y'all typically have conversations to put things on the resolution on the resolution, on the agenda for the county council meeting, I understand that. If not, you guys keep breaking order.
Right.
You're going out of order to have this discussion about cello at these different meetings,
Hmm.
which I love. I'm
Yeah.
not saying don't do that. I'm not
Right.
saying don't say cello's name. I'm not saying don't seek justice. What I'm saying is give a little more.
Hmm.
and have a special meeting so we as people can be educated and informed on your duties,
Right.
your responsibilities, and then our rights as far as who we need to be talking to, who we should be asking for help, or even if we should be shutting up. Because we're
Mm-hmm.
even hearing from our family members and our loved ones around us, like, yo, y'all making too much noise and y'all could be messing things up. And it's like, ain't nobody of legal authority or legal power told me, yo, you tripping, you can
Mm-hmm.
ruin this for everybody. Like, I've been hearing that from people in the neighborhood or in the community, but nobody of authority has said that to me because they understand what we are doing and what we have rights to do. So, I'm going in there like, yo, y'all breaking the meeting here.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And then y'all come up with this resolution. But also, what you're doing is because people don't understand, you
Right.
are splitting your colleagues up because the people who are voting no,
Mm-hmm.
or the people who are sitting at these finance meetings and who aren't saying anything, to the natural eye, the human eye, you're going to look at it. And if you're looking at it with a passion, you're going to think, she hates me, he hates me, he hates me, he hates me.
Mm-hmm.
Because why would they say no to justice for Cello?
Right.
So, like, okay, now we're getting the conversation going. But also, what you're doing is you're putting people in a position to where if you don't understand what's going on in that room, people have the opportunity now to paint a picture of them based on their own perspective because they're thinking subjectively and not objectively. So that's what I meant when, because I
Mm-hmm.
try to put all this in 3 minutes. When I said, like, when y'all doing this in the meeting and y'all pinning y'all colleagues against each other, because if you watch it, Rock is talking, Andre's talking, Chris Drexel's talking to the solicitor. Um, Jim Minarski isn't saying anything. Charlie Bell even said, I mean, if that's something that y'all want to do individually, yeah, but that's not our job as counsel. So I don't think that that's something that we should be having on our agenda, which rightfully and
Right.
respectfully so. That I don't want that on my plate. Like that, we didn't come here to eat that. Don't put, you know what I mean? Like you think about it like that. But with
Mm-hmm.
all due
Mm-hmm.
respect, we still gonna sit here and eat together. And then Showerman, I
Right.
believe her is it Ellen Showerman or I don't know her first name, but Miss Showerman. I'm gonna call her Miss Showerman. So
Okay.
she was just
Okay.
like she's sitting there like, well, didn't didn't they say? Hold on, I'm looking at her right now. That's why I'm dragging my speech. Her name is Ellen
Yeah.
Showerman. So she looking at the
Okay.
solicitor like, yo, didn't you tell us like we shouldn't touch this? Like weren't
Right.
we educated or weren't we, so she like, I think that we should stick to that. And the solicitor like, yeah, I'm still saying that. But he was like, if we're gonna put this out, I'll change the language because it's still his
Mm-hmm.
job. He doesn't have the final
Right.
say so. He has the advice. So
Mm-hmm.
they have the advice of counsel. So what she did was maybe she followed the advice of counsel by saying no. And with whoever, and I don't know
Okay.
who said no because again I didn't watch it. I'm assuming and speculating that it was Charlie Bell, and that could be a little bias of me or prejudice or whatever we're gonna call. So I'll call myself out on that. But I'm assuming that those two were the ones who said no.
And I think I saw somewhere that they were the two
Okay,
that said no.
so
So you're
okay,
spot
so
on, I
then with
believe.
them doing that, it's more or less like he's saying that's not our job. She's saying I'm going with the advice of counsel. We know Andre said it because he's like, I'm not going against the advice of counsel. And these people coming down here, keep coming down here. We're going to give them something. So he's all for it. We know Rock
Yep.
Drexel and they're in cahoots. They talked about it. And I believe that the other two, Jim Winarski, probably like, man, this man talking about, you know what I mean? So I'm with it. And that's just my interpretation. So then that's why I
Mm-hmm.
said that. So then I'm getting to the point to where
Yeah.
like, yo, when it's other issues, y'all speak up. Like you see when it's ICE, even Ian Roberts, like
Mm-hmm.
they was going crazy on that, and Rock broke silence about that. And I think at this point, he's not an idiot. Like it's a strategic man. So I know at certain times he posts certain things to wait to get us to speak on it or comment on it, whatever the case may be. By no means are we being
Mm-hmm.
ignored, or by no means are people thinking, oh, these people are just ignorant and they're not paying attention to it. So there are people who are antagonizing us, and I see that as well. And I'm not gonna say it in a negative way, but in the sense of, okay, let's see how serious they are and let's see how real they are about this. So it's people paying attention. So I made sure to make mention of that. It's like, yo, y'all showing us that y'all can break the rules and bend the rules. And then I went to Andre's post, which I quoted, because then he said,
Yep.
this is our job and this is our job.
Yep.
But we gonna do a little something
Mm-hmm.
something for y'all. We gonna give y'all a little something something. So when you hear that,
Yeah.
I don't hear this is my job, this is my job. I hear, so you're telling me there's opportunity here. So the door's open. You know what I mean? Like, because
Right.
I'm one of those type of
Yeah.
people. Like, once
Yeah.
the door is open, I want to figure out how can I get in. So now you're telling me,
Yeah.
oh, there's a door open, right? So well, since the door open and I got a little peek in here, can I come inside? Because now I'm saying like
Yeah.
y'all insulting us. And then when I said I gave you your flowers,
Yeah.
I seen the timers running out. And like then you get elevated because like yo, it's like I gotta keep coming down here, only get 3 minutes to speak. I'm a ball of energy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I got a lot of words that I want to say, and I know I talk fast too. So I gotta make sure that I'm not talking too fast because then people can't hear me. Gotta make sure I ain't talking too loud because then people aren't listening to me. I don't want to get it rise out of the room because I have points to make. So that's why I start getting loud because now I'm like, you know what I mean? Like it's so much more
Yeah.
exposure. I'm
Yeah.
like, stop playing. You know what I mean? Like, and then on top of that, cuz I had to go as
Yeah.
well. You know what I mean? So I got
Yeah.
all of this stuff going on with me. And that 9 times that I swear or cut. And yeah, they let me go over time because it was respected. Like, I know at the end of the day,
Yeah.
they're not ignoring me or disrespecting me blatantly, which is why they allow me the
Yep.
opportunity to speak for as long as I do and why they let us come down there and yell and scream. But right,
And
it's
they
just
could have,
insulting that
but
they
they didn't.
keep asking or they keep saying they don't know what
Yeah.
to do, but they haven't came and spoken to people in the community to understand how things are being split up or how things are being divided or how speculations are tearing and breaking people down to where it's like you all are the people with the answers and the information that can maybe not give to us, but point us in the direction of who we need to talk to. And then when you point us there, tell the people that you point to, we coming.
Yeah. You did very well. I enjoyed listening to you like I always do, and some others had some good things to say.
Oh
Cindy, I
yeah.
think Triber, she needed to, a
Yeah,
little bit
she
more time.
definitely
I think
oh
she
my
needed,
God.
but she broke it down. Michelle said some good things. Dovashaw, the twins, Terry and Jerry came up and spoke very well. Brief but well. And I want to talk about brief for a second, but um, Mimi O'Connor again came and using the justice word as a verb. I just can so appreciate how she delivers her message to these elected officials. I thought it was very powerful, very thought out, very planned and strategic. And I think with everybody that came down collectively that spoke on behalf of Marcella Woodard, it was another uh, victory for us based off of if you're keeping track of
Right.
something like this. It was really good night. You add the resolution on top of that, and it was a good night. I want to
Hold on,
talk
real
about
quick,
this
because go back
real
to that.
quick.
When you talk about some of the
Go ahead.
speakers, like this is something that I want people to
Yeah,
understand and somebody that I want people to know for those who don't know, because
yeah,
Susanna Faulkner showed up. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure if a
yep,
lot of people know who Susanna Faulkner is or how she gets down, but like she said that was her first time going to a county council meeting and she didn't know how to
mm-hmm.
but like when she get involved, like what I will say is based on my experience and like shit happens. You know what I mean? Like Susanna
Yeah,
Faulkner, she was on city council for a little bit, but then she's a huge community advocate. When I was going through watching all those videos, trying to find like and I'm talking
mm-hmm.
prior pre cello. I'm trying to go back and see different
Mm-hmm.
things that was passed and said. And she's always there. You know what I mean? And she got the backing of
Mm-hmm.
the Sisters of St. Joseph, and then she worked for the Erie Arts and Culture. So like, yeah, Susanna Faulkner came up and she requested time, so she was prepared. And it's like when
Yeah,
Susanna Faulkner get involved, it's a different. She brings a different force with her. I will say that. And I like, so she came and she spoke and she like, yo, y'all got 30 days. And I don't
yeah,
know. A lot of people don't know
yeah,
Susanna because it's like I said, it's different. You have different circles of people. So when I say a lot of people, I'm gonna say a lot of people within I guess I believe what I've interpreted to be our community. And I know that she's very active and she
mm-hmm.
does get down and she get busy. But like that's a person who you want to have on the right side of seeking justice, and that's a person who you want to have speaking and advocating for you. So yeah, but like Cindy was
Yeah,
there, Cindy Cook, like when she was saying the stuff, she was coming with
yes, she is.
statistics, facts, information.
Yes,
She was like, this one,
yeah,
this happened. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
sitting here
yeah,
listening. Like they
yeah,
lifted their chairs. I'm like, oh, Cindy ain't she the one. Someone woke up in Cindy. You know what I mean? Like a fire that got
Yes.
lit because she went back to, all right, let me take it back
Yeah.
to the basics. Let me take it back to the,
Yep.
she came in there like, and then she was like, I'm going to wrap
Yeah.
this all up. I want
Yeah.
to be like, no, don't stop. You know what I mean? You know me, I'm one of them run the
Yep.
bell. Don't stop. You know, and she
Yep.
wrapped it up. I wish she would
Yep.
have said more, but I know she got more for the next one because I would love to hear the rest of what she had to say. But you know, Cindy always show up.
Me too.
Mimi always show up.
Yep.
Carrie always show up. Jerry
Yep.
always show up. I always show up. So
That's
you know,
right.
it's like it
That's
was
right.
great for those. But then when you throw Susanna Faulkner in
Yeah.
there, like Susanna came in there
Yeah.
with her information and her knowledge, and like when I tell you she knows data, when she knows statistics, and when she
Mm-hmm.
knows when you talk about numbers of Erie, outside of our opinions and outside of
Mm-hmm.
what we believe is our demographics of our community, like Susanna Faulkner being in
Mm-hmm.
trenches and she has real data from real people, from real organizations, and when she talk, people listen, and when she speak and move, like stuff happen. And that's another thing. Like it's good to see all of these people who like are prominent in the Erie community start coming out and speaking up because um a lot of my friends or my peers or my we don't know those people. I've had the opportunity to meet some of these people through my workers and dealings throughout the community and trying to like seek opportunities, and you meet some of these characters. So I want to make sure that we
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge that. And that's not to take away from anybody who was there. Michelle, she always shows up and she don't play no games. She come in there
Yeah.
with her facts. You know, and that's
No.
not to leave anybody out. But tonight we had not
Right.
tonight. The other night we had Susanna
Last night.
Faulkner coming here.
Yep.
So the big dogs are starting to come out slowly and subtly. And you
Yep.
know, Cole Shinley, he been doing this. So, you know, he one of the big dogs, at least when it comes to speaking up, because I want everybody to understand that there's a power in your voice, even if it's for a brief moment, 30 seconds to 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a power in your voice. And what I will say is the people who speak their voices and the people with the big voices who've been kind of falling back, like they starting to come out. So day 98, like we gaining favor, we gaining strength, like you know what I mean, we still reading our word and we still,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, we protect it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I didn't mean to cut you off with that, but I definitely want to make sure I acknowledge
No.
Susanna because she came and she asked for her time ahead of time because she knew what she wanted to say, and she
Yeah.
she come with facts and information.
This was a perfect segue because it wraps it right back to what you were saying, and I want to kind of give you some props. Um, when we talk about short and sweet but powerful. Terry and Jerry spoke short and sweet but powerful, and I love when a message is brought and it was thought out and it was delivered perfectly and on to the next. And you posted some videos yesterday, and I watched all of them. I think it was an old video at the breakfast meeting that you were at with a lot of the fellas, and I watched every single one of them. And in one of those clips, you were telling them to come down to these city and county
No,
council
what the
meetings, even if you
no,
don't
it
have
wasn't cuz
anything to
I ain't
say.
been doing this cuz
Come,
I ain't been said that.
come on, man. I don't know when that was from, but it makes total sense. Like you said, if we lined up and everybody was down there and came up there and said, "Hi, my name is Craig Woodard, Senior. I'm from Erie. Just wanted to say I'm here for Justice for Cello. What happened to him is wrong. We're on day 98. We need some answers. Thanks for listening to me." Right? Next one comes up. If everybody just came down and said just a little bit, right? You were like, we'll be here till 3 in the morning. And they have to be there till 3 in the morning because they have to listen to everybody. I want to put the pressure on top of what you said. And that was a while ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. Old
Yeah, that was
video?
a very old.
Old
So yeah,
video.
so that was an old. I don't know if that was pre-COVID or if that was right after COVID, but
Okay.
it's older. So what happened was Anthony McGowan. You know, he got the Boys to Men program, but Anthony McGowan, him, I think it was
Yeah.
Andre Horton, Curtis Jones, Gary. They used to have breakfast. They used to have small breakfast to engage as men to have
Yeah.
conversations about again civics because Andre and Gary have always been trying to uplift the community, get more
Yes.
people voting, get more
Mm-hmm.
people registered, get more people doing a civic duty. So
Yeah.
even that conversation back then, Andre and them was there. But
Yeah.
Ant and them have been having these breakfasts and they built it and they grew it into something to where it's like, yo, we're gonna go to Perkins. Everybody pay for their own food, but we as men, we're gonna get the and it grew so big to where they would just reserve the back room for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at that particular moment, it was around the time when the when was that? The Erie's Black. So it must have been was it post COVID? The Erie's Black Wall Street they did their first Green Light Gala Award.
Okay.
So when they announced the winners of the award, everybody on social media went crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, they ain't who do they think they are? Yeah, yeah. So we came to meet about that, and I'm like, yo, these is black women who run this. Like, y'all need to chill on them. Like, they doing their part. Like, we need to do better. But so now we talking how can we build a community? And then another thing, here's a kicker to that, right? Remember that Unified Erie conversation we talked about weeks
Yeah.
ago?
Yep.
That was brought up at that meeting as well.
Okay.
And when that meeting was brought up, I remember somebody really stood up and was like, hell no, that's a horrible idea. We ain't talking to the DA. And listen, that video is still, I found those clips.
Yeah.
I was going to post them when I was running for city council, but Davina advised me not to. She like, yeah, no, don't do that. People going to look at you like, you crazy. I'm like, oh, that's Malcolm X. We better not vote for him. So she advised me not to post that when I was running because she thought it would rub people the wrong way.
Yeah.
But so they proposed a unified Erie idea in that room as well. Mike Outlaw was it? But I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna name some of the people who was in that room just so you can know how serious this meeting was.
Absolutely.
So Gary Horton, it was Andre Horton. I think Gary Lee was in there. Mike Outlaw was there.
Okay.
Mr. T was there. Don Heidelberg, I think Don Heidelberg was there. Jagannon was there. Ro Benjamin was there. Marcus Knight was in there. I think Paul and Samson Cafando was in there. I believe Mr. Donald Crenshaw was in there. There was a couple of white dudes who was just like, Ant had invited them. Ant McGowan was there. It was some dudes from the hood in there. Like, it was crazy. It was literally like 35, 45 men.
Yeah.
He was in there. I wish Lonnie Sherrod or Big, he was the one who was recording. He was in there.
Okay.
And it was people just standing up. But what I'm saying is to say, like, it was some big names and some heavy hitters. Yeah, Jerry in the comments, he said he was there. Like,
Jerry was there.
It was a lot of strong, it was like strength in the room, right, bro?
Yeah.
But it was love. It was all love, and it was people just sitting, we having breakfast, discussing ideas, and then it was, all right, Mr. Horton, break us out in prayer.
Yeah.
Mr. Horton stand up, give his prayer, people start speaking, and I stood up, and I passed somebody my phone, and I'm like, yo, I think I was live at the time, because we was about to get into an argument. Legitimately, I was about to argue with Footy because he was like, the Erie's Black Wall Street ain't had no business doing that, and I stopped him. Yo, we ain't about to be breaking down no black women in here. Right. These is men. We all in this room is men. I love what they doing. If I got an award or not, we not finna do that. Right. So it even got to the point to where we as men was, you know what I mean, was able to speak as men. So it was a great thing. But I stood up and I said all of that. And I said, and the reason why I was told not to share it during the election is because I'm like, yo, I will die for this shit. Like, I love my city. This is what we have to do because Dre and them have had me coming to these meetings and getting all this information. And I'm telling them, yo, they passing money down there and they building a city up and they jumping and skipping right over top of us and we letting it happen. I don't know why, but this is how we can go about getting it. And this is what we can do to make sure that we get it. So let's do something. This is a move that we can do because you see that one night, the first night, we went down to the city council meeting, went 2.5, 3 hours.
Yes.
So if you date back to then, and that's why I shared those videos, because I didn't want anybody to think that I was trying to be advantageous or trying to build or boost nothing. All I was doing was putting it out there. I've been doing this. I've been trying to bring men together. I've been trying to uplift my community. I've been telling people there are people who are in positions of power who make decisions for us, who don't come to where we are, who don't live where we live, who don't do what we do. And what I will say is, of the men who were there, Andre Horton was there.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So again, he been stepping with us, and that's what I said when I'm like, I marched and stepped with you since. Like, when I said I look at his sons like my brothers, like I bought this shirt from them. Like, they made this shirt. Like, when they was doing music, I used to be in their ear. When we had the Reds 11 clothing thing, like, Andre's sons were involved when I first started selling clothes. So again, we've been trying to do this and we've been on this, and it's like, had we all paid attention and followed suit, then we would probably be in a lot further place. But I'm glad that I had the opportunity to share that information because it literally shows that, like, had we done it then, imagine how afraid they would have been, because you see how afraid they are of us now. Like, when I tell you, cuz, my fault, if I go to sleep, I took a nap today. And yesterday was crazy. The last 2 days I take a nap. When I wake up, my phone be just like I'm getting crazy calls and email,
Yeah.
like even emails. Like it's a town hall meeting coming up. Like it's some people from the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission that's putting together an Erie town hall meeting. So
Okay.
and it's people who coming from out of town. So again, my phone, I be missing emails, catching emails. I got some people upset with me for not responding to inboxes, answering phone calls. It's crazy, but man, it's like when I take a nap and wake up, it be like all hell done broke loose.
Man, look, you slept through Etcetera with the Wooders the other day. You remember that? Me and Jerry was
Yeah, I
holding
woke up
down.
like, oh man, I missed it.
Hey, those videos, those clips were great to listen to, and I wanted to echo your comments in there, man. Look, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint, and I say this, respectfully because I'm at a distance. I can't have my boots on the ground along with you. I wish I could, and I even said on your live earlier that, man, I wish I was there with my nonprofit. I would be one of those ones that would step up and put together this town hall meeting and get a place, and I would be able to do all that stuff if I was there. But I can say to all those fellas that were at the meeting is go down to these county council and city council meetings and say your piece, even if it's brief, even if it's 20 seconds. Pack the house. We need to show this family that we have their back 100%. And I'm talking about the direct family. 100% we have their back, and there's power in numbers, man. And when you look out in the crowd, like the very first city council meeting, it was electric. Like it went 3 hours, man. And if we could have turnouts like that, oh man, I mean, how would that make you feel, man?
If all the men who
Yeah.
were at that breakfast came to a city council meeting or a
Hmm.
county council meeting or all got in the same room and sat down and devised a plan, that would be a beautiful but scary sight.
Yeah.
You had to be like, I'm telling you, like, I'm talking about people who we perceive didn't have relationships with one another,
Yeah.
people who may or may have not been beefed out,
Yep.
people who had access to the streets,
Yep.
people who had access to politics, people who had access to law, people who had access to money, people who had access to real estate. Like, if we could, like, that would be scary. Like,
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if we went down there, went for everybody who was there, like, because even in that group of individuals, like,
Yeah.
it's issues there. Like, it's people who was in that room who won't speak to me now, and you know what I mean. We don't exchange words like we used to,
Yeah.
back then. But what I'm saying to you is because it happened so long ago.
Yeah.
But if we can get and everybody knew who they was that was in that room, and if we were to when you do the clips, make
Yeah.
sure that you clip this part up. If we can get the exact same group, I'm gonna say it just so we can make sure we caught, so I can screen record. If we can get the exact same group of men
Yes.
who were at that men's breakfast meeting that Anthony McGowan put on at Perkins that day when I spoke, the videos that I shared, to
Yep.
go to a city council meeting, to a county council meeting, to a school board meeting,
Yep.
or to sit down and have a conversation and lock in a room to figure out what we can do to make things better for Erie, it would be a scary sight. It would
Yep.
be a hell of a sight, and we would do some amazing things, bro. Because what I tell you is, regardless of how anybody personally feels about these people, or
Mm-hmm.
regardless of any ill feelings that we may have about some of these people,
Mm-hmm.
it was some power in Smack was there. Yeah, it was some power in that room. And then it was people. No, I don't think he was there. Brian Atterbury was there. So and then it was people like, yo, when the next one I want to go. So if we can move like that and we can figure out how to do that, like I'm telling you, man, it'd be crazy, man. It'd be crazy. But yeah, we at a time right now to where it's just like when you run into day 98 and there's so much stuff going on, and it's like what I've noticed or what I feel like is people have been running out of things to say, or
Yeah.
people have been running out of things to do. So the easiest thing to do is to talk about the people who are saying stuff and doing stuff,
Yep.
to continue to have stuff to say and to have stuff to do. And that's why we continue to fight. And this is why we are at a trying time right now. Hold on. Because again, it's people who, when you start making too much sense, people treat you different.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, I never thought about that. Why you think you get to say that? Who do you think you are that you should be saying these messages? Why do you think that you should be the person on news? Why do you think you the person that's grabbing the microphone? Why do everybody want to talk to you? Why is everybody coming to your page? Why is everybody liking your post? And it's like nobody who's getting recognition asks for recognition. The only thing that we are asking for is justice for Cello.
Right.
So
Right.
nobody should have a problem with anybody asking justice for Cello. But when it gets to the point to where a system that is designed to help us, I guess, grieve or process is not working for us, then what happens is we turn around and we turn the energy back towards the people that we love because we are closely connected to them and they are
Right.
that much easily accessible. Because again, imagine if you had the opportunity to, if we could get Elizabeth Hurts coming on here 2 nights a week, you know what I mean? Or imagine if Elizabeth Hurts showed up at those county council meetings every
Yeah.
week. Like, or
Yeah.
imagine if, you know what I mean, we had her on Facebook and we could be in her comment section. Then people would have more stuff to say to the person who, you know what I mean, who has the most say so and the most power and the most control. But because we aren't getting information and because people aren't speaking to us, it's turned stuff into a frenzy, into a haywire to where anybody is saying anything, and sometimes the right or the wrong person or people are listening to it, and then we are reacting and we are responding, and it's turning us and our energy is turning into, let's say, a hurricane instead of a stream that flows one way because we're getting so mixed up and there's so much turmoil. So we got to figure out we got to figure out how we can just keep moving forward and keep focusing on justice for Cello, man. And
Absolutely.
again, so it's because when people don't know what more to say, what more to do, and they still want to have to say something, it starts to get turned around. And I believe it's the fault of the people who are in control, who are in power, who see this, who are watching us, or sitting back and seeing who's going to tear who apart and who's going to go at who and who's going to go after who.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we just got to be focused on justice for Cello, and we got to tell them it's their fault that we're acting like this, and put the focus back on them. So it is not my fault that there is a hurricane brewing. It is their fault that a hurricane is brewing because they're not giving us the proper information, and we are left to assume and we are left to speculate.
Yeah, and the thing about that, man, is despite a hurricane coming, um, I live in Florida, man. We deal with hurricanes. I'm gonna be still standing at the end, we will be there at the end, and we will figure this thing out, man, and we'll keep fighting and screaming justice for Cello, regardless of who says what or who stands for this or who stands for that, and we're just gonna weather the storm. That's what we do. That's what we're built on. And this family definitely deserves it. So, hell of a county council meeting, man. It was wonderful. I wanted to let everybody know on October 18th, down here in Tampa, Florida, we do have the National Day of Protest, and I have been asked to speak. I'm going to share my cousin's story, about what occurred on July 2nd down here. I got like 5 to 10 minutes to share this information with the city of Tampa. So I'm excited. This will be my first protest, and of course, y'all all know when you guys are up there doing your thing, I'm watching the whole thing, and I want to be there. You know what I mean? But I live vicariously through you guys, man, and I really have such a delight coming on the podcast and being able to talk with people and know that there's a lot of people in the 814 that is listening, and I get some really good comments all the time too. Like, I love listening to you and Deontay every day, or I get to work and I put it on. I get to watch it in the morning time, and it's so informative, and you guys are making great points and stuff. And hey, man, we're here to give justice for Cello, man. And I've always said it. We got to keep the main thing. The main thing. Before we wrap up, parting words for you. Anything else you want to say to everybody?
Um, yeah, man. What I want to say is like I'm gonna continue to seek justice for Cello, and I appreciate every person who's seeking justice for Cello, because justice for me doesn't just mean an arrest. You know what I mean? So I can't define what justice looks like for everybody. I can't tell everybody how to seek justice. I can't tell everybody what to say. I can't tell everybody what to do. I can only speak for the things that I speak on, and then the things that I say and the things that I do, I don't do it for likes and share. I do it to inform people of the steps that I'm taking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not. There has not been anything that I've done behind the scenes that have not been paid made public record. That has not been made public knowledge or public information. You know, I talk about it when I'm walking my dog. I come on this show with you twice a week, and we discuss all of the information that we do have. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the people who understand that and who know that when it comes to us and when it comes to us having these conversations, like we're not keeping no secrets. You know, we don't have no innuendos. We seeking
Right.
justice for Cello. We ain't getting no personal gain off of none of this, and we standing with people, we supporting people who need our help, during these crying times, during these trying times, and I'm just glad that I have the voice that I do.
Yep.
I'm glad that I have the platform that I do because this is what we've been asking for from the beginning. Like people who have platforms to
Hmm.
make noise and to raise awareness for justice for Cello, so he does not get forgotten. So that is what I'm doing. I'm doing my role.
Yep.
I'm doing my job with using my voice and with my God given talents and what God has given me the ability to do. I'm doing it unapologetically. I'm not backing down from nothing. I'm not running from nobody. I'm not scared. Like I said years ago when we had that meeting, I'm willing to die for this. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, and I'm an educated man. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying I'm about to go out here and get in the streets and go crazy because, like, you see my degrees behind me. They back there for a reason. Like, that's earned and not given.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My resume is earned and not given. I've never been no DEI guy. I've never been no affirmative action hire. I've never got in no door because of the color of my skin. I got into the doors because of the content of my character, my intellect, and my education. Like I kicked doors down. Ain't nobody gave me no leg up or no hand up. So ain't nobody shaking me from nothing. Ain't nobody scaring me out of nothing. Ain't nobody talking me out of nothing. I'm not backing down from nobody. I'm not backing down from anything. And what I'm going to continue to do is allow my intellect and my mind and my brain power speak for itself. And I'm going to continue to lean on and rely on the God that I serve to continue to give me the strength to move forward. Because what I'm not going to do is talk down. Like I read the book of Nehemiah. Why would I come down off the wall?
Yeah.
Why are we
Yeah.
coming down off the wall? It's people who are assigned and in different positions. Everybody has a job. I don't have to talk to every single person who's seeking justice for Cello. I don't have to be a part of every conversation or every rally of every group because the head can't tell the hand what to do. You understand
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So if you making bricks to build the wall, you might have to make the bricks. They may have to assemble the bricks. You may have to stack the bricks, and I may have to look at the picture. As long as the bricks is being made, we build it and we repairing it. And I'm not coming down off my wall. I don't have to be a part of every conversation. I don't have to interact and engage with anybody that I don't want to. I don't have to pander with Republicans and Democrats if I don't want to. This is not a partisan situation. I'm not
Right.
going back and forth with nobody. I'm going to seek justice for Cello unapologetically. I'm not afraid of nothing or nobody. I'm not backing down from nothing or nobody. You know where I'm at. I'm not hard to find. I go to the gym every day. You can meet me there. I'm at the city council meeting every third Wednesday of the month. You can meet me there. County council meeting every other Tuesday. You can meet me there. I hang out in the Ushers Club when I want to go, politic. You can meet me there. Don't come to my house. This is where you don't want to meet me is at my house. But outside of that, I'm not hard to find. I'm not backing down from nobody. I'm gonna continue to walk my dog every single morning. I'm gonna
Yep.
continue to do my reels. I'm gonna continue to do my posts, my shares, my comments. And the last thing I'm gonna tell you is I'm going to continue to seek justice for Marcello Woodard. I don't care who like it and who don't. Those are my closing statements, man. And I don't have to engage with anybody I don't want to, and nobody has to engage with me. But that's just how I feel about everything, man.
I appreciate it, man, and love the parting words, and I gotta say this too, man. It's like, we've been through a lot. This family has been through a lot, man. It's been 98 days. People are going strong. People are tired. People are weary. People are still grieving. People are questioning what's going on, and it's just when you don't have answers for this long of a period of time, you start to speculate, and we speculate because the DA is not saying anything to us, and that is all that we actually have. So please, 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 for you guys out there, keep the main thing the main thing, and that is justice for Cello. Don't listen to all this other bullshit that's
Justice for
going
Cello.
around. Don't read all these other negative comments that show division in the community. If you're out for justice for Cello, you're out for justice for Cello, point blank, period. Keep the main thing, and don't fall into all this other negativity. And we appreciate you guys listening to us tonight. We will be back here probably Sunday night at 8:15. We'll let you know. DC will be with me, and we will bring it again. We appreciate everyone listening. Check out Etcetera with the Woodards on YouTube channel. You can subscribe, you can share, you can like, share our podcast from tonight. We're going to have some clips to share as well. And Sunday, we're going to be back here to bring the heat. For my co host, Deontay Cooley, I'm Craig Woodard Sr. Thank you guys and have a good weekend.